there, comic book friends. I'm Travis, and it's time for an edition of What the Fugue, where I talk about what's going on with me in my world of comics. How's it going, everybody? Just kind of a week, you know? I don't know. Looking forward to this week of comics. I've got lots of independent books coming out this week that I'm excited to be picking up and reading. Should be some good stuff, so I'm excited for that, to see what there is. Last week I managed to uncover the covers. No, not uncover the covers. No capes. Yeah. Get things straight. It's been one of those kind of days. No capes. Hopefully this week I get both videos in. We'll see how that all goes. Hopefully I'll have time to do all that. What's going on this week? Let's see. Today, there's all the rage is the fact that Warner Brothers and DC Entertainment announced that with when the Batman vs. Superman is released to Blu-ray, that there will be a rated R option, and so people are like losing their mind over the fact that it's, there's a rated R option. That clearly they're just jumping on the bandwagon of Deadpool, because Deadpool is the first ever superhero book with a rated R, rating, which is ridiculous. Go back and look at, Blade, Watchmen, Super, most of the Punisher movies, right? Whatever. But everybody's like making a big stink. Like suddenly, DC, Warner Brothers just decided to, with what we got, a week, 2 weeks before the movie has to come out, they're suddenly re-editing the whole movie so they can make a rated R version. No, it's not how it works. They make a movie. The director's got all this stuff in it that they want in it, and they clearly cut some of it out for time constraints and edit it however they need to, to make the movie that they want to make. And then it goes before a review board, and the review board goes, this is a little too dicey. Cut some more of this out, maybe not have Batman smash so many people's heads through floors and that sort of thing. And they cut some more out. And then you've got a PG-13 because that's what they wanted to release it to the theaters as. But they have this extra footage that they can throw back in. I'm almost 100% positive that the Avengers Blu-ray version has a rated R version also. And Avengers isn't rated R when it came out. So this is nothing new. They just made, one thing DC did do is they made a point of telling you, hey, it's there, because clearly there is a desire to watch superhero movies that are that violent and that grim, to get the rated R, to get the rated R rating on it. That's all it is. It's not that big a deal. So if you're losing your shit over that, I don't know. You're part of the internet that wants to just rage for the sake of raging. I get that. Sometimes that's fun. There's got to be more to all of it than that. Otherwise, I'm just going to completely tune out, because after a while, the rage becomes over the top, right? Like for all of us. At any rate, so there's that. I'm super excited for the movie. I know some people aren't. Like I said, I'm really excited. I will do everything I can to attempt to be there. If not opening night, I will certainly see it opening weekend. That's coming right up. Super excited for that. What else along those lines? I was thinking there was something else, and now I can't remember what it was. Really need to start writing notes, don't I? I believe this weekend I will be doing a hangout over on Ghost Critic's channel. So I don't know, if you're not subscribed to Ghost Critic, you're not subscribed to Mark, get subscribed to Ghost Critic. I should be on there Sunday, I think, talking some stuff and whatnot. He's been occasionally doing some of those, and I got invited to go and chat with him, so I will certainly do that. Like talking with Mark, don't get to do it enough. So the time always is kind of weird, because he lives on the other side of the world, basically, from me. So we're gonna get the time figured out. It may be super early for me, but hey, that's okay. I'll get up, I'll get my coffee, I'll run a comb through my hair and my beard, and I'll be ready to go. So yeah, and also of course this weekend we'll have another comic book roundtable. Don't know who'll be on this week. Haven't really heard from anybody, but if you want to be on, certainly let me know. We'll see about getting you on. As far as other comic book show type things go, there's the Femme Force something or other. One of these times I'll remember to look before I talk about it. Check them out on Fridays. They've been lots of fun. The last couple weeks I've watched, they've been lots of fun. Other comic book type things that you might want to subscribe to that I have always really enjoyed, and I guess I really haven't talked about it, but it's come back. Jamie Rich, he is one of the head editors for Vertigo currently, has a webcast that he does where basically he goes around in the Portland area mostly. I think that's where he lives, and a plethora of comic book creative type people all live in the Portland area. He goes around and interviews them, whether they are writers, whether they are artists, editors, whatever, has discussions with them. They're all usually pretty interesting in one way or another. And they're done very well. They're not done as fan service kind of a thing. They're informative and interesting and intriguing. And because Jamie himself has got, I don't know, 15, 20, 25 years in the comic business in one sense or another, as editor, he wrote Lady Killer along with Jillian Jones. So, I mean, he's kind of been in the business for a long time, so he a lot of times asks interesting questions about stuff. He has a sense of kind of what things are. Also, so that makes him a good interviewer of sorts. The production level of the thing is, of course, still a roof in comparison to anything that we are all doing. But it is Back to the Gutters is what it's called. Doesn't have any subscribers right now, so I would go check it out. If you follow me on Twitter, you probably see me retweet this stuff a few times here and there. But go check it out. First episode was on last week. It comes out every Wednesday, I believe. Last week it was Benjamin Dewey, the artist for currently for Autumnland's Tooth and Claw. I talked to him about process and his experience becoming a comic book artist and that sort of stuff. This week it was with an editor who just recently became one of the main editors at Boom Studios. She was an editor for Dark Horse for quite some time and also worked for DC. So check that out. Just interesting stuff. And if you want to go back and see the older stuff that he did before that, this is Back to the Gutters, and the other one was called In the Gutters, I believe was what it was called. And you can see incredible interviews with Becky Cloonan, Eric Stevenson, I can't even begin to name all. Ming Doyle, I can't begin to name all the interesting people who have interesting kind of views on the creation of comics and stuff. So check those out too. You can watch for hours and listen to them talk stuff. At least I can, because there's some interesting stuff. I guess I've never really talked about it before. Speaking of Eric Stevenson, he is one of the head CEOs of Image. He also writes Nowhere Man, They're Not Like Us, and whatnot. Of course, last week was the Comic Pro gathering, where basically the big companies gather and talk to the retailers. As a general rule, that's what it's about. And Eric seems to, every year he has some sort of speech where it seems like here lately, because as it feels kind of like as Image gets bigger, they want to puff up their chests a little more and scourge some part of the rest of the comic book world, because clearly they're not doing it like Image, and Image is great, and the rest of them, are broken models or whatever. Always seems the case. And this year was no different. I mean, there's some interesting things he has to say. Check it out if you get a chance to check out the full transcript of him talking about stuff. But he talks about a lot of the poor choices all of them are making. He kind of lumps themselves in with everybody else. They need to quit repeating the bad stuff of the past. The variant cover ridiculousness. He kind of chastises companies for double shipping books and whatnot. You're kind of hitting on what's going on in some of their places right now, some of the big announcements. But I think that's funny to some degree because there are tons of Image books that have variant covers. There's lots of books that have variant covers. Whether they're incentive variant covers, I don't know. Some of them are. I'm getting some of the variant covers for some of the books. They're not incentive, though. I just can choose an A or a B cover, for that matter. I think that's interesting that some of the stuff that he's poking at. And I don't know if he's sincere about the fact that he thinks that his company should quit doing some of that stuff that he's taking shots at or not. And I'll be curious to see going forward. Are we going to see a cooling of Image doing that? I know a few years ago, Image had this thing what they called phantom covers, where they would secretly produce some, seemingly extremely rare variant covers of books, and then retailers that were like their friends, that were on their friends list of some sort. I don't know. So not everybody got them, just certain retailers would get them, would get these extra special variant covered books that you'd see then crop up on eBay for lots of money or whatever. Or if you're lucky to live enough to live someplace where your store got them, then you could pick them up and whatnot. I've seen a few. I've owned a few briefly. I've given some of them away just because variant covers aren't necessarily my thing, though sometimes they're starting to appeal to me more. I could see if I was collecting a full collection of something, to get the variants of a collection would be kind of cool in a sense, but not to be paying the top dollar there is and whatnot. But yeah, I had like a fade out, one of the ghost variants as they were calling them, phantom variants as they were calling them at the time, and I gave it away as a prize package one year, so I don't have it anymore. But anyway, so I just think that's interesting. The whole. He has some good ideas, but they're great ideas. But if you're guilty of them and you're not going to change your own company's habits, why would you be scolding somebody else? Kind of thing. Really easy to, to be in the position they're in and chastise everybody else. It just kind of feels like. In years past, some of his conversations have felt more inspiring to me. This year, it really felt less inspiring because some of the stuff he's talking about, they're somewhat bad actors in. And he did say that they were at fault too. But like I said, I'll be curious to see if they choose to keep moving forward, doing the same stuff they're doing, or if they're really going to change their habits, whether anybody else changes theirs or not. Kind of the idea was the industry needed to change some of its habits, so they quit doing the things that harms the health of the comic book industry, kind of a thing. And they kind of feel like, he listed some stuff off he felt like did that, and those are some of the things that I still remember off the top of my head that it seemed like that way. So big news, of course. It always seems like after I do my What the Fugue, then big news hits, and so I'm always a week behind on talking about it. If you happen to watch Comic Book Roundtable this last Saturday, we talked about it on there. A whole bunch of guys were on, and we chewed over some of the DC's announcement out of Rebirth, and some of the stuff that goes on there. We now know kind of what titles are coming out first. We know what titles are double shipping. We know how many titles are double shipping. We know that all the books are going to be $2.99. And we know what months they're being released in and how quickly they're going to be released and how much they're spread out across the base. And we talked quite a bit about them. There's pros and cons to this whole kind of a thing. And one of the things I kind of poked at was the fact is that it seemed to me like to some degree that the DC universe has shrank in the fact that the focus is there's not as many different things that we're talking about in books. I know when the New 52 came out, one of the pluses is they kind of explored all the possibilities of the universe. So you had the odd books, Frankenstein's Ages of Change, the Resurrection Mans. You had the Mr. Terrifics. You had these kind of just odd books floating around out there. Of course, the downside was they released all 52 new issues in 1 month, and those odd, weird books that nobody knows about can't compete if they're released the same week that Justice League, Batman, and Superman and Wonder Woman are. So, yeah, so there's that whole aspect of it. But what was pointed out to me a couple times, and thinking about it, I think it's accurate. And the fact is, I think Luke on the show talked about it. Sleepy Reader talked about it in the comments too, and I certainly agree with it. Looking at the business model, maybe it's smart of DC to kind of tighten up the belt as far as focusing on a core product, making sure that the successful things stay successful. Basically the Justice League, the stuff out of the Justice League, the Batman, Superman, Wonder Womans, and their branching families, get that established over the next 6 months, and then maybe, if we're lucky, we'll start to see some more of the oddities start rolling in around that kind of stuff. I'm hoping that's the case. The big downside, of course, this whole announcement is you don't know who any of the creators are, any of the books, or how really a double-shipped Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, what are those actually really going to look like? I mean, the more I think about it, the more I think of all the different ways they could be releasing those stories. I mean, is it going to be, like their Batman Eternal and Batman and Robin Eternal, the weekly books? I mean, so is every issue going to further on the same story? We're just going to have a massive churn of artists, so the books always look different, that sort of thing? Or are they going to tell two different stories? Is it going to be, Batman #1 is telling a story about Batman, where Batman #2 is telling a story about Gordon, Batman #3 goes back to the Batman story, #4 back to Gordon, and then they can have, two artists going on the book because each of them are telling, have a different style, telling their own story, with one writer on the book, or do we have multiple writers on the book? We'll have to see. That's coming in March. WonderCon is when they're going to announce all that. They're doing a live cast. Hopefully somebody will be lucky enough to see it. I mean, WonderCon, I think, is a Friday, Saturday, Sunday show. If they're releasing all that stuff at WonderCon, I'm really hoping that it's going to be on a Saturday, or it's a late Friday. Just because, of course, I work, and if they're doing a live cast, I'd kind of like to watch it, and I'm not going to get to. So yeah, that's kind of a we'll cross fingers. But that's the real thing, right? That's what's going to be the real factor in there, the big deal, the what's it really gonna be like and stuff, And some people were complaining about the price of doing of it being, if I want to collect Batman and it's double shipped, I'm paying $2.99 twice. So you're paying $6. You're paying $6 for 40 pages of story in a month, as long as it's good story, versus what Marvel seems to be running their books are either $4 or $5 for 20 to 22 pages. So it's still a deal, as far as that kind of thing goes. So depending on how you look at it, I mean, it's still, if you don't have $6 to spend on a character, it's still $6, and that's too much. I mean, I get that, but if we're talking dollars per page, it's by far the value. And if you don't want those, there's 17 books have been announced that are going to double ship, and there's 13 books that are announced that are going to be once a month. Explore those once a month books at $2.99. That's awesome. In this day and age of comics, that's a deal. Explore those books if you don't want to take on the double or whatnot. I'm almost positive I will. I have a feeling my DC has been ebbing. It's been getting less and less here lately. I have a feeling when the new thing starts up in June, basically, it'll pick back up. I will start picking up more DC again, just because at that price, that's easy for me to explore. And I think my Marvel will start to shrink because by the time we get into June, we're going to be dipping way heavy into a lot of the events, which I don't enjoy. It takes me out of the comics. They have these events. the way they end up getting written most of the time and told, it throws the characters off of whatever storyline was going on at the time. I just don't enjoy that. So I have a feeling that my Marvel's going to shrink back down again. And that's just kind of the way it is for me with collecting the books anyway, I think as a whole, depending on what's going on, with the two as far as superhero books go. Also, at the beginning of this whole thing, I think in May, DC is releasing a 80-page Rebirth special issue, 80 pages, and it's going to be $2.99. If you're not picking that up, I kind of feel like you're just hating to hate. I mean, because I don't know. It's written by Jeff Johns. The whole thing's written by Jeff Johns. I think most people agree that as a whole, his career is pretty solid. I'm probably more critical of Jeff Johns than lots of people are. I'm certainly going to pick it up. It's got like 3 or 4 different artists on it. I'm sure they're each taking a chunk of it, but it's big name artists. So yeah, to me that seems like a no-brainer to pick that thing up and whatnot. So yeah, I'm interested to see what it is. I am positive and hopeful that it turns into something. I know that certainly if you've caught me here or caught me on Twitter, I have in the past said I'm 98% sure that I'm not going to pick up any books that are double shipped. But at $2.99, depending on how it's told, I may pick up some of those books. The other interesting thing is Action Comics and Detective Comics, who are still going to double ship twice a month, they are going back to their old numbering. So in the matter of not very many years, we'll have books in the thousands. There'll be DC books that are back numbered in the thousands. So I'm curious to see how sales go for that, and whether no one starts reading those books because they're not number ones, and where would you start at, kind of a thing. That seems to be an excuse why most people don't pick up things, and supposedly why they pick up the number ones. Yeah, anyway, I think that's it, because I'm getting crabby, probably, and it's been kind of a crabby week. So to keep from being crabby and going negative on this stuff, because I want to try and keep it positive, I think I'm done. And I will see you this week. If I don't put out some videos talking about the books I read last week, you'll at least see me on Comic Roundtable. Hope you join me either live or after the fact. Much appreciated as always. Thanks to the new people who have been subscribing to me lately. That's pretty awesome. If you are subscribed to me and you don't think I'm subscribed to you and you are putting out content on comic books and stuff, let me know. Because I know what happens sometimes is, generally, if you subscribe to me and you don't have videos, I don't know why, I don't bother to subscribe back. If you're putting out content, though, I subscribe back. To me, that just strikes me as being fair and respectable, and that's what also opens up that door of communication, which is why I'm here talking about comic books and stuff, not just to listen to myself talk, but to have a conversation with other people. So if for some reason you started a channel, you didn't have content in it, but you subscribed to me, now you're producing content and you don't know that I'm watching you, or you don't think I'm subscribed to you, or that sort of thing, hit me up, let me know, because I'm always looking, to find new people. I mean, the amount of people I'm subscribed to is pretty massive. I have this massive feed of videos to watch all the time. I do tend to get to most of them. So yeah, like I said, if I'm missing out, let me know. Let me know, and because I don't want to miss out. Anyway, have a great one, everybody, and I'll see you next week.